Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. In the quiet town of Tontitown, Arkansas, whispers began to ripple through the community like a sudden wind before a storm. At the heart of it all were Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, once seen as the unshakable pillars of faith and family. For decades, they had stood side by side, raising 19 children and sharing their lives with the world. Their home was filled with the constant sounds of laughter, prayer, and the clatter of little feet. But behind the cameras and the carefully chosen words, something had begun to change. Michelle sat alone on the porch one evening, the sun dipping below the horizon. She clutched a cup of tea, staring into the distance, her mind swirling with memories of simpler times of young love, and of a shared vision that had once seemed so strong. Inside, Jim Bob paced in his study. Papers lay strewn across his desk, plans, commitments, appearances. His life had always been about direction, leadership, and control. But lately, the control had slipped through his fingers, like sand in an hourglass. They had tried counseling, they had prayed together, but sometimes, even the strongest convictions couldn't bridge the distance that had grown between them. The love hadn't vanished, but it had changed, evolved into something quieter, something more complicated. One morning, after the children had gone out, Michelle finally said the words they both feared but knew were coming. "Jim Bob, maybe it's time we stop pretending we're still the same people we once were." He didn't argue. He didn't cry. He simply nodded, the weight of decades pressing heavily on his shoulders. The divorce was quiet. There were no tabloid scandals, no dramatic interviews, just a respectful parting, a mutual decision to walk separate paths after walking so far together. And though their family would never be the same, the love they had poured into their children remained, like a legacy carved into stone. Michelle Duggar makes a rare appearance at Conservative Young Women's Summit. It's not often that we see Michelle Duggar out in public anymore. After the cancellation of Counting On and Josh Duggar's massively public downfall, she and husband Jim Bob Duggar have been mostly laying low. But she made an appearance at a conservative women's event this month, and a video of her giving out advice to fellow moms is getting a lot of criticism. Michelle attended the Young Women's Leadership Summit in Texas, an annual event aimed at young women who are right-leaning and often religious to gather. This year's speakers included Charlie Kirk and Nancy Mace, and apparently Michelle was there too. TikToker Republican Latina shared a video of her conversation with Michelle at the conference, when she asked her what she would say to women who are mothers or planning to have children. Unsurprisingly, Michelle's answer was directly tied to her faith. If you're to be a mom, you point those children to love the Lord, and there's nothing that God will not do in their life to prepare them for the calling that they have, she said. These young ladies here you are passing on the torch to the next generation. Make the difference. Stand for the values God stands for, which is family, Michelle said. Making an impact in our world, wherever you are, you shine a light and impact your community, your nation, your world for whatever He has empowered you to do and put on your heart. On Reddit, critics questioned whether Michelle was qualified to be giving out advice to moms, even if she has won 19 times over. Michelle has a lot of audacity going to conferences like this and offering her thoughts, one person wrote. Another commented her idea of being a mother is birth. She doesn't concern herself with the actual raising and nurturing of a child. Apparently, that was the path God chose for her. Another critic attempted to explain why people have always looked up to Michelle. "I think Michelle is so popular because she seems like the kind, loving mom we all wanted growing up," the commenter wrote. The hard, sad truth is that when you actually unpack her words and most importantly her actions, she's actually quite evil. Joy Anna Duggar's dance video, showing the different outfits of motherhood, has people giggling. Anyone who's caught a few episodes of 19 Kids and Counting already knows that the Duggar kids have had very different childhoods from what many of us experienced growing up. Being under the umbrella of Bill Gothard and the Institute in Basic Life Principles meant that they weren't able to enjoy mainstream movies or music and had to follow a restrictive dress code. Of course, dancing was totally off the table because it is considered too sinful. And now that Joanna Duggar is making the choice to break another one of the rules she used to live by, fans are cheering. Joanna Duggar showed off her moves in a new video. In the video, Joy is dancing to Justin Timberlake's "Can't Stop the Feeling" as she changes into different outfits to show what a wide variety of clothing she has in her closet. "One day I'm Pinterest mom. Next day I'm just happy I'm dressed," she wrote in her caption, adding, "Can you tell I didn't dance as a kid?" Fans are cheering her on in the comments. In the comments, so many of Joy's followers applauded her dancing. She might not have the same moves as a professional would, but plenty of people were proud of her for doing something that was forbidden while she was growing up. "I've been following your family since before some of your siblings were even born, and I gotta say I love this content," one comment said. "You harmlessly dancing around, full of literal joy singing and rocking these outfits. You seem so happy, and watching this made me happy." Another person added, "Oh my gosh, I could cry watching how happy you are dancing. Not to mention to a great song. I'm so happy for you." Her critics have a lot of thoughts. On a popular Duggar-related subreddit, Joy's critics aren't all that happy for her for breaking the rules and dancing instead. Some took this opportunity to point out that this is just one of the ways the Duggars are making their religious beliefs more relatable. It's all part of the overall rebranding of fundamentalism into something more palatable to the general public, so I'm not sure Jim Bob Duggar cares as much as we think, one person wrote. "It's all a rebranding strategy, and it's working. Do they even know what real dancing is?" said another comment. "They all give the idea that their lifestyle is amazing. Some members of the family only started dancing very recently." Joanna Duggar and Austin Forsyth admit they broke Jim Bob's courtship rules. When it comes to dating one of Jim Bob Duggar's daughters, we've heard plenty about just how strict his courtship rules can be. Because the children of the family date with the intent to marry the person they're courting, Jim Bob thoroughly vets any man who has been interested in one of his girls, and even once they get his seal of approval, they have to follow his guidelines. But now, Austin Forsyth is coming clean. He and Joy didn't follow those rules quite as closely as her dad would have liked. Austin appeared on Duggar and Jeremy's podcast this week. While talking with his sister and brother-in-law, Austin opened up about courting Joanna in the early days of their relationship, something he wasn't too familiar with because it wasn't the way his family did things, despite the fact that they were also pretty conservative. But because his family had been close with the Duggars for years, he did know that this was the way they did things, and he was willing to give it a shot. That meant that all of his dates with Joy were chaperoned, though, and that's when they ended up bending the rules. Justin chaperoned most of Joy and Austin's dates. They still found a way to get one-on-one time together if they wanted to have a private conversation. However, even though that was technically against the rules, "We'd tell Justin to go sit in the truck," he said, later adding, "I'd be like, hey, we're going to talk. You go over there, Justin. You go in the next room or whatever." Fortunately, because Justin already knew Austin from their families interacting and had a level of trust and respect, he'd go along with it. Fans have a lot of thoughts about Austin's confession. Fans on a popular Duggar-related subreddit have been discussing this part of the podcast, and they seem to appreciate the confirmation about the broken rules. "I am not saying they broke all the rules, but this seems to confirm what some of us believe, that they did more than hold hands prior to marriage," the OP wrote. One commenter wrote, "Glad Austin didn't mention this until after Justin got out of the house. Justin's probably getting an angry phone call from JB right about now." This isn't the first time Joy and Austin have admitted to breaking a courtship rule. Joanna Duggar sparks pregnancy speculation in new travel photos. Jana Duggar was not like other girls in her village. While most children spent their days playing by the river or climbing mango trees, Jana loved to explore places no one else dared to go. Her curiosity was endless, and her heart was full of dreams. One sunny morning, while walking through the old part of the village, she noticed a strange path behind the abandoned library. Covered in vines and half hidden by tall grass, it looked like it hadn't been walked on in years. Without a second thought, Jana pushed aside the vines and followed the narrow trail. It led her to a rusty gate. Beyond it, she saw something magical, a hidden garden filled with colorful flowers, butterflies, and a sparkling fountain in the middle. The garden looked untouched by time. As Jana stepped inside, the air felt different, warmer, peaceful. She spent hours there reading an old book she found under a stone bench. The pages told stories of a secret garden that only opened to those who truly believed in magic. From that day on, Jana visited the hidden garden every afternoon. She watered the plants, talked to the birds, and wrote stories under the shade of the big banyan tree. But she never told anyone about the garden. It was her secret place where imagination came to life. And so Jana Duggar grew up to become a famous writer, the girl who once believed in magic and found a hidden world behind a forgotten gate. Now that Jana Duggar is a married lady, it seems like all that speculation about when she's finally going to tie the knot has now been replaced with a new type of speculation. After new photos surfaced of one of Jana's most recent travel adventures, 19 kids and counting fans are wondering more than ever if she's expecting. But why Jana recently visited Duggar in California. In a post that Duggar Duggar recently shared on Instagram, she gave fans an update on what happened when sisters Jana and Jessa, along with brother John David and his wife, Abby, came to visit her on the West Coast, presumably to spend time with the family and visit Duggar's new son, baby Finn. But instead of focusing on the good times that the family seemed to be having together, instead, Duggar's followers who saw the post were focused on something else entirely. Fans speculated Jana might be expecting in the comments. So many of the comments were all about trying to figure out if Jana is pregnant, and many fans seem totally convinced that she's expecting and just hasn't shared the news publicly yet. Anyone else zooming in to peep and see if Jana is preggo, one person wrote. Another commenter said very definitively Jana is preggers, while another asked, is Jana pregnant yet? Pregnancy rumors have been circulating quite a bit recently. Back in March, Jana first sparked pregnancy rumors when fans were convinced that she looked more swollen in photos she shared of the DIY project she was working on, along with the fact that, in the same post, she included a clip where she appeared to be holding her stomach. Jana has shared that she does want kids of her own. Though some fans believed that Jana wouldn't want to have children after she spent so much of life helping raise her younger siblings already, she corrected that misconception in an Instagram comment she shared in April. "We would love to have children of our own and are praying that God sends us some soon," she wrote, in response to a fan who asked if she and husband Stephen Wisman were planning to start a family soon. But is she expecting right now? We'll just have to wait and see if Jana decides to share an update herself. Then came Caleb. He was different from the men her parents approved of, kind, thoughtful, but with a quiet rebellion in his spirit. They married in a private ceremony, away from the cameras, the public, and even some of the stricter Duggar rules. For a moment, it felt like freedom. But freedom, she would learn, doesn't come just from love, it comes from truth. Months into the marriage, cracks began to show. Caleb wanted to move to California, start fresh, but Jana found herself torn, caught between the life she'd known and the one she longed for. When disagreements turned into silence and silence into resentment, Jana realized that staying would mean losing herself again. One chilly November morning, with trembling hands and a steady heart, she signed the divorce papers. It was over.